Gotcha. Okay. So where did the factual stuff come in black? Who had the...
The stuff in black is what
The employee.
employees or the city is saying. Stuff in red is what the Lionel
Okay.
The company.
back.
So they're saying, no, they could do it all under one.
Yeah.
Okay, and why do 100 hours total and do everybody?
We need to knock on the door and
I
let
was
the mayor,
thinking,
let the mayor know that.
7 o'clock.
Roll a flashbang in there and let them know. We're waiting.
Yeah, it's 7:01.
That would be fun.
Yes, it would.
Okay, it's going.
Okay, thanks, Gina.
Oh, thank you very much. We're on. Thank you. Are you coming in? Oh, okay. Thank you for waiting out there. We'll call you in with time.
We're live.
Good evening. Okay. Oh, well, that's going, but this
Yeah.
isn't going.
Not like the voices in my head.
Stand by. Okay, so we are live. And let me log in real quick. We had some technical difficulties there.
Denise, can you hear us out there? Okay.
Maybe not.
Oh, shoot.
Either that or my wife. One of the two.
I don't have hairs that long.
Oh my god, I'm so stupid. That's better. I was typing in password. It says password and then, like, never mind.
Gotcha.
My meetings. Stand by. Reoccurring in session. Today's the 16th, correct? Okay, and join. Let's see what happens here. Okay, I'm ready.
Are we going to have a screen?
Yeah, oh, yeah, sorry. Let me talk to everybody real quick here.
Okay.
Chief, can you come in here and turn it on, please?
Unmuted.
Good evening, everybody. We had some technical there, so give us just a few more moments. We're still trying to get fired up here to make sure that everybody can hear us and the council can see the folks participating this evening.
Come they can push the button.
You have to physically.
I think I just have to be under it, maybe.
He's the only one I know that's tall enough to reach you to push it.
There it is. We got the remote working again, so
Nice.
let's give that a moment to fire up here.
Geez, going to time slip you for that one.
Good. This is Graham. You're over there. Not now. Just waiting for the screen. We'll start recording this now.
This conference will now be recorded.
That will take off here. Make sure that's going to go. Boom, boom, boom. And I think I have to do input.
You are plugged in this time. Yeah, you're right. There we go. All right, there you go.
Oh, there we go. Perfect. Thank you.
Where's our raffle?
All right, finally. Good evening, everybody. The time is now 7:05. I apologize for the delay. For those of you at home that are joining us, You can join us on our YouTube channel, which is live streaming as well. For citizen comments, it looks like we've got a number of people joining us this evening. We will give you that opportunity, and we will go through the screen to call on you if you're looking to speak this evening. Please, before we get started, make sure that you are on mute unless called upon, just to eliminate the feedback. So thank you. It looks like everybody is right now. At this time, I'd like everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and afterwards, if I can get you to remain standing for a few moments. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This past week, we lost a very active member in our community, Jim Johnson, and I would like to take a moment to remember him and the service that he provided to the city and his family that continues to do so. Thank you very much. At this time, we'll go ahead and, Mrs. Graham. Here. Sorry. Mrs. Holland. Mrs. Rounds.
Here.
Mr. Chapman.
Here.
Mr. Fredericks.
Here.
Mr. Plaza.
Here.
Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith is called out this evening ill. Chair will accept a motion to excuse him.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Fredericks, seconded by Councilmember Rounds. We'll go ahead. All in favor of excusing Mr. Smith, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? 6 ayes have it. Mr. Smith has been excused. Moving on to presentations and proclamations this evening, we've got waste control, questions and answers regarding the CPI calculation and COLA request for 2021. Let me go ahead and make the screen a little bit bigger here. And do we have someone on from Waste Connections?
Yes, I'm here, Brian Evola, if you have any questions.
Okay, Brian, okay. Do you have anything to share or discuss for council this evening before those questions are asked?
No, I sent in the request. I was working with Ms. Rip about that, so I'm just here in case there's any further questions or clarification.
Okay. Does council have any questions or clarification? Mr. Fredericks?
You might have to, I don't know if you can hear me, but the CPI that was used, is that less food and energy?
Kevin, did you hear the question? The question is the CPI less food and energy?
Yes, the CPI goes by the urban wage earners and clerical workers.
Did Waste Connections, did they reduce that down to eliminate the energy and food costs associated with the CPI?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Any further questions? I'm not seeing any at this time, and just to clarify, I think we'll get to it this evening on, let's see, down on my agenda here. So it looks like it's action item F this evening, ordinance number 1467, and I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, did I hear that it was 54-cent increase? Mr. Boyces. Or Mrs. Rip, does that sound correct?
Yes, sir.
54 cents a month or 54 cents every 2 months?
A month.
A month, perfect. Thank you very much. Any further questions? All right, seeing none, thank you, sir, for attending the meeting this evening. It doesn't look like we have anything else for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to communications for items not on the agenda. We have Mrs. Denise Miller with the Woodland. Are you here for? Come on in. Up to that. This door over here, though. That one's locked, I think. Sorry. We're trying to keep people away from each other in here. And then when you leave, if you could go out that door as well. Okay. Are you here with Chamber or the Visitor Center this evening? Chamber. With Chamber this evening. All right. And I'm sorry I don't have a microphone, so you'll have to speak up a little bit to capture the microphones.
All right. Good evening. My name is Denise Miller with the Woodland Chamber of Commerce. Address is 43204 Northwest 15th Avenue. A couple of things. I actually had to write them down today, so up and down. Unfortunately, we've had to cancel our Christmas auction, so you will not be receiving an invite for that. Due to COVID and the restrictions, we just did not put it on this year. We already begun our annual membership renewal, so if you're a business who have not received it, let me know and we'll make sure we get that to you. Small Business Saturday is November 28th. We are putting together a master list of businesses. Not only members, it's any small business locally owned within our town. And what we're doing is I'm putting together a list of them, and each person or each business says what type of sales they're having. And then we're working with the CEDC, and so we're doing Longview, Kelso, Castle Rock, Kalama, La Center, and then us, Woodland, and we're doing something called power hours. So each community will have a different power hour, and that's different sales for those businesses. The thought behind this is, if you do not want to go when there's more people, you can go outside of the power hour, or you can go in each of the different communities and get the best sales and show your business love everywhere. So, choose shop local, shop November 28th, it's Small Business Saturday. We will be putting out maps of the visitor center the week of, so be next week. We'll have the maps of all the different businesses who are going to be.
And where can that, I'm sorry, you probably said it. Where can folks find the information on what businesses are participating?
So the map, we're going to do printed maps, and the printed maps will be at our visitor center.
Okay.
And then we're going to also be putting the maps on our social media and e-blasts and such. We're still finalizing all of our businesses right now, so we don't want to push out multiple maps and confuse people.
Okay.
So we'll be getting all the information out, and we're still setting people up. And even if they sign up on the Friday before, they can still be included, they just won't be as a printed map.
Gotcha. Okay. Awesome.
All right?
Okay. That's all?
That's all.
All right. Awesome. Good job. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Shop local.
Shop local. I'll write that. So there's nobody else here in chamber, so we'll take it to the computer and we'll roll through to, let's see. Mrs. Butler, did you want to speak this evening for items not on the agenda? No? Okay. Is there anyone, I'm looking to see if there's anybody else for items not on the agenda, please unmute yourself and we will take your name and your comments. All right, seeing none. Moving on to items on the agenda. We have no one signed up here in the building. Is there anyone online that would like to speak to items on the agenda? All right, seeing none. Moving on to agenda approval.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second. Moved by Councilmember Frederick, seconded by Councilmember Plaza. All in favor to approve the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The agenda has been approved. We are the time is now 7:14, and we will be moving into a public hearing. Water, sewer, and rate increase, stormwater, new utility, and set rates for the FCS Group report on utility rate study. I have no one signed up here in the gallery. If you'd like to step forward now, I know we have one person, but not seeing any hands from that person. If there anyone online that would speak to the public hearing on the water sewer rate increase stormwater set. All right, seeing no one, we'll give it a few more moments just in case.
Mayor, do you want to unmute everybody in case somebody's having troubles unmuting themselves? And then
I
you
can. I'm not sure.
You could remute them all?
Okay.
Okay. I see one caller that
That's what I.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
That caller one may be Mr. Robinson, who
Okay.
had comments related to the utility rate increases.
Okay. There we go. I'm sorry. What was his name?
I believe it's Donald Robinson.
Mr. Robinson, are you?
Donald Robinson.
Yes, are you wanting to speak on the utility rate?
Yes, I do.
Okay, could I get your first name, sir?
Donald Robinson.
Donald.
Donald.
All right. Are you for or against the rate increase?
I'm against it.
All right.
I sent a letter in about my concerns about it.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give you 5 minutes. I believe I distributed that letter to council last meeting. Mr. Boyce, is that the one I read into the record?
Mr. Mayor, may I read it into the record?
Yes,
for
absolutely.
everyone involved?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, it's dated November 8th. It says, "To whom it may concern, we live at 440 Dunham and are writing this because we are extremely worried about the rate increases to our water sewer bill. Half of us on this block are on fixed incomes, and the others are starting out with young families. Either way, the water sewer bill keeps going up, and apparently going to keep going up, and it's hard to afford now, let alone in 1 to 3 years from now. We would all like to see something done about it. Heidi and Donald Robinson, Jackie Hammond, Alexandra, can't read the last name. There's a number of signatures on here. I scanned this and got it over to the chief, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Can't believe it.
18 individuals who have signed it.
Okay.
And the chief is going to make a copy and get it to council.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Robinson, do you have anything further to add to the comments that Mr. Boyce read into the record for you?
Well, I'm on fixed income. I'd like to know what I can do about it. That's my main concern. And everybody on the block that is basically on fixed income.
Okay. Council is listening and taking notes, it looks like. That has been read. Do you have any further comments before we move on to other folks that would like to speak to this topic?
No real. I guess not.
No? Okay. We appreciate you providing comments and Mr. Boyce, you said 18 signatures to that?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Thank you. All right. If there's nothing else, Mr. Robinson, we're going to move on to the next person.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else online? I'm seeing Brian. I don't recognize that name. Are you here to speak this evening?
He's with Waste Control.
Oh, is that Waste Control? Oh, sorry.
There's another Brian, though.
There's 2 Brians on here this evening. I see we've got FCS Group on here as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, seeing no more hands coming up, we will go ahead and close the public hearing. The time is now 7:18.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And, okay. Moving on to reports of standing committees. Public safety.
We canceled our meeting this afternoon due to not any new materials that were needed to be discussed. So that our next meeting will be the 21st of December.
21st.
And I had asked the chief that if any other information that we needed to be updated, that he would let us know.
All right.
Can I make a comment on the letter from FCS, specifically pertaining to the last one? That the people that this letter was addressed to, I believe one of the names is incorrect. I'm assuming that it should read Pete Boyce, not Pete Holmes.
Miss Coleman? Did you hear Mrs. Graham?
I did not hear
Okay.
Mrs. Graham. I heard
So-
part of what she said, not the full question.
The letters that were addressed to the city from the FCS group states that it was going to the city manager, Pete Holmes, and not city administrator, Peter Boyce. Do we have any concerns with that, or does that do anything? Mrs. Graham has concerns that that is going to cause problems in the future. Everyone else on there was correct, with the exception of that name.
So there was a typo on the letter is what we're stating?
Yes, who it was addressed to.
So I think the way to rectify that is to go ahead and just have them send an addendum saying we had a typo on the letter, and we should be fine.
Okay. Martin?
Yeah, Martin, go ahead.
Martin's on the line here. Is that something that, it was a letter dated the 21st of September, is that correct? The letter is dated 8/21.
Hey, Mayor, it's Martin Shaw.
9/21.
For the record, Martin Shaw, Project Manager with FCS Group. I apologize, that is a typo. We will gladly fix that and resend it.
Okay, we just want to make sure the packet is accurate. Thank you, I appreciate that. Okay, anything else, Mrs. Graham? No? Okay. Public Works.
We didn't have a meeting this evening. Tracy may be getting in touch with us later for a later date.
Okay, thank you. Chamber of Commerce, Mrs. Graham.
You just had our executive director, Chambers, give an update of what's happening there, and we're doing the best we can to keep our businesses informed of what's going on. So if they have any questions or anything, please contact me at the Chamber office.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Questions for Mrs. Graham with Chamber business? Seeing none. Thank you. All right, moving on to reports of officers. I'll go first. I don't have much to report. We've been seeing each other weekly on Mondays. We're working through the budget process and trying to make sure that council has enough information possible to make an informed decision on the 2021 budget. One thing of note is that we did have an event planned for a drive-through event at the Bond Estate on the 27th of November, the day after Thanksgiving. Mrs. Bond and her husband, Mr. and Mrs. Bond, do all the inflatables and light up their property and open up the gates and let people drive through their big long driveway. It's an event to benefit the class of 2021 alcohol and drug-free party. So sometimes we see the firefighters down at the bottom of the ramps fill the boots. This was an opportunity for the seniors to get together and on opening night of the Bond Estates for the Christmas show or the lights and the inflatables out there. There was going to be some. We're changing how this is going up, so more information to come. So mark your calendars on that. But due to things that came out yesterday from our state leader, we'll be making some changes here to that event. But please put that on your calendar to do a drive-through. It is a drive-through event. Everyone will be social distance and masked up that are participating on the outside of the vehicles. But
That's November 27th.
November 27th, yes. The Friday after, and I believe the time is going to be from 6 to 9 is going to be the drive-through time. So
That would be Black Friday.
more coming, yes. In the evening, though, in the evening. Other than that, the executive team, we are working through the budget process and trying to make sure that, again, we have as much information over the council as possible. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Boyce.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to start out with utility billing outsource bids and report. You do have information in the packet regarding the bids that were received. I also have the chief place on your desk a copy of an email from one of the bidders. Council wanted that information because as part of the utility study, we talked about going to monthly billing instead of every 2 months. So council wanted to see what outsourcing that might look like. What I'd like to do from this point is to send it to the finance committee so they consider the email from the vendor and the staff report from the Clerk-Treasurer's office and discuss more fully. And as I mentioned before, there will also be some union concerns that we'll need to talk through also. So that's the first item.
Mr. Boyce, can I jump in? Can I jump in real quick? So council does have the email. There are two different, there are a bunch of, it looks like a bunch of comments and bullet points that are within the email. One is, some are in black lettering and others are in red lettering. Who are the voices of those letterings? It's a little confusing on who's speaking to what here in the email.
Right, so just one moment, let me pull it up. Okay, so the red lettering, I believe in the main text, and Ms. Hipp, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that is from the vendor.
You said that was the red lettering. That's was correct. The vendor?
Right, from Minol.
I think they cut and pasted out of the agenda summary.
Right.
And responded in their red lettering.
So where did the black lettering come from then? Is that from our RFP?
There's the council agenda item with the summary information in it. I think they cut and pasted out of the council agenda item that was reported to council in tonight's packet.
So then I would assume that the black lettering then is coming from your office then, or is that from Mr. Boyce?
That's the Clerk-Treasurer
office. My office.
Oh, okay. There was some confusion because it was, I can see that they cut and paste there. That's, if you said that, I think that's where the confusion's coming from. We weren't sure whose voices those were.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. All right, go ahead, Mr. Boyce. Thank you.
That's the staff summary report in black.
Staff summary, okay.
And then there's, I guess, more documentation or calculations.
So we don't have this item on for any action or anything tonight, but we do think it warrants some further discussion with the Finance Committee. So we'd like to forward this to the committee for further discussion.
Any objections to that? Seeing none, let's go ahead and send it over there.
Okay. Also in the agenda packet, you'll see a number of resolutions. These are related to the utility rates, and we will be presenting those at the next regular meeting, the first meeting in December, for action. On this agenda, we have some ordinances that require 2 readings. So we thought we'd start with the ordinances tonight and include the final readings of the ordinances and the resolutions at the meeting, the first meeting in December. So that's a preview of the rates that we'll be presenting for action. Also, I wanted to speak to the budget. I'd like to request that City Council continue meeting on these next 2 Mondays before your December meeting in order to make sure we've got a final budget for the first meeting in December. We need to do a first and final reading, and we need to hold a public hearing. We're advertising the public hearing for December 7th, and with City Council's permission, we'd like to continue meeting on the budget as City Council would require, and present a final budget at the December 7th meeting so the public can comment.
Any objections? Seeing none, Mr. Boyce?
The only other thing I wanted to mention is November 19th, there's a planning commission at 7 p.m. And that's my report for this evening.
Questions for Mr. Boyce this evening? Seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Boyce. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? In order for time to keep going, as we've done in the past, due to the fact that we are virtual, does any council member have any questions for any particular staff member at this time? All right, seeing none. Thank you. Moving on to consent items.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Frederick, second by Councilmember Rounds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Consent items have passed 6-0. Moving on to action items. Action item F, ordinance number 1467, garbage and recycling rate increases, first reading. I gotta turn the page here. Effective December 16th for February 2021 billing.
Move adoption of ordinance number 1467, first reading.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Frederick, second by Councilmember Rounds. Councilmember Fredericks.
The timing of this isn't real great, but I understand. I mean, employment agreements typically aren't going down. Most of them are still going up, and this is how that's paid for. Alternatively, if we don't do this, we have to come up with an additional, I thought it was $20,000. I can't remember what the number was. The estimated amount that a revenue source would have to be is $28,000 to $30,000. That means it would have to come from another fund. I'm all ears to figure out where that's going to come from, considering we just adopted a fairly large increase in our insurance cost year over year, which amounted roughly $70,000 increase. We just adopted that. So I think it's important that we move this forward.
Councilmember Rounds?
Well, I can't vote for it at this time because of the way the economy is and what the governor has done to our businesses and the individuals. So that's my feeling on that.
Further discussion? Mr. Plaza?
Just a question. I don't know if anybody has the answer for it or not, but within the past year, how many times has our garbage rate been increased?
In the past year, how many times has the garbage rate been increased in this year?
Has it been zero? I thought we voted for it at least once.
Maybe when you first started.
2 or 3 years.
3 years ago.
Yeah, Mrs. Ripp, can you recall the last time the garbage rate increased?
2015.
Okay, there was a rate increase at the very beginning of the year, and that was from Cowlitz County tipping fees, so that goes straight through to Cowlitz County, not to the waste control.
Different.
Prior to that, it had been 2 years, 2018.
Was the last for the rate? And the tipping fee, is that something that occurs annually?
No. It comes when Cowlitz County decides what their costs are going to be for increasing their landfill costs.
And with the exception of this last one at the beginning of the year, when was the last time that tipping fee was increased?
I don't have that off the top of my head, but it was a couple years, 2 or 3 years maybe before that, maybe longer. I'd have to look.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Plaza, anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Try not to forget this side of the room tonight. But I keep purposely looking this way. All right, seeing nothing else, I will go ahead and take the roll for action item F, ordinance number 1467. Councilmember Plaza.
Nope.
Councilmember Graham. Councilmember Chapman.
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks.
Aye.
Councilmember Holland.
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds.
No.
All right. Action item F, ordinance number 1467 has passed 4-2. Moving on to action item G. Ordinance number 1466, stormwater utility, first reading, effective February 16, 2021 for April 2021 billing.
No moment. Move to adopt ordinance number 1466.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Fredericks, seconded by Councilmember Rounds. Councilmember Fredericks.
The numbers that were provided are option 2 that the council already approved before to request that this come back to council this way. Is that correct?
Majority of the
Mr. Holmes?
Mr. Boyce, did you hear the question?
I'm sorry, no, I didn't.
I think it's for you. It might be for Ms. Coleman as well. Action item G, stormwater utility, first reading. The one that's before council is option number 2, which is something that was requested by council.
That is correct.
Yes.
And so by you doing this, you're bringing this back because this is what we've requested as a majority body, correct? As a majority of this body has requested.
By bringing action item G forward this evening, it is at the request of the majority of the body. Is that correct, Mr. Boyce?
That is correct.
Mrs. Rounds.
Well, I voted no the last time, and I'm going to have to vote no again this time, so.
All right, further discussion?
Yes,
Mr. Plaza.
I think I've made it, pretty clear on where I lay on this thing. Well, I think that this is something that the city could benefit from. I also believe that the timing for it is bad, and I know that's not anybody that's here's fault. However, I am just not cool with voting in favor of anything that's going to raise costs to citizens that are barely scraping by now as it is, and thanks to Governor Inslee, it's just going to make things worse for them. So I'll be voting no.
Mr. Fredericks.
Listen, I absolutely hate voting for these. If I were at the State House in Olympia, I'd be voting no on this, but I'm in the city of Woodland. I think we have an obligation to make sure that we're paying for the things that most other cities are paying for. And if Ms. Coleman, if you could, I hate to put Ms. Coleman on the spot, but if she could take a few minutes and talk about the challenges that she faces today and where this money is, what it's going to be used for, so there's a clear understanding of what this is for. Because today, we are taking this out of, we are funding this through monies already received that are short, that we can't spend on street maintenance. So if Ms. Coleman could provide us a little bit of guidance, is that okay to ask?
Yeah. Ms. Coleman, did you hear Mr. Fredericks?
Well, I think she did that last time too, didn't she?
I believe I heard most of it, and Martin's going to help me out with this as well. I'm pretty sure I can answer most of it, but I believe what he's asking is if we're talking about the storm utility tax,
Is it the tax, or is it's the formation of it? Is that correct?
stormwater?
Yes.
Stormwater, yeah.
Stormwater utility.
The stormwater utility itself, not tax.
Mhm.
No.
Correct, stormwater utility, thank you. So I want to share one thing, and that is with anybody who is financially impacted and is on a limited budget has the option to come to the city and request assistance. We have factored that into this utility rate study, so let's not forget about that. Just because, if people are financially impacted and do not have funding available to pay their utilities, we have a program in place where we can help people if they truly are impacted financially. So I just want to share that with the public that there's a lot of programs out there with municipalities, and so we want to encourage you that if you are financially unable and are on a limited income and you qualify, that you need to come to us and let us know that. The other thing is that the stormwater utility, and Martin, while I'm talking, I'm hoping you're going to pull this up because we submitted a sheet that gave all of the information of everything that I could have, should have, would have done if we had a stormwater utility, because right now anything that we do that is in relationship to stormwater comes out of our general funds. And so if we have a catch basin that needs to be repaired, or if we have some type of curb and gutter that needs to be re-leveled because the water isn't flowing into the catch basin, or anything that has to do with that for drainage off the roads, all of that comes out of the general fund. If we have
Correction, I'm sorry, it's the road fund.
Well, but the road is funded by the general fund.
Well, technically it's its own fund. We do share tax revenue with the road fund, but it technically is a separate fund.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you very much. So, but what I'm saying with that is that the funds that we take out of our streets can go on to match our grant dollars awards that we have. It can go into our sidewalks. I gave some prime examples of what I was going to be able to pay for with a stormwater utility if we had one. And Martin, can you please touch base on what those items were? I'm sure you probably have them pulled up by now.
Sure. For the record, Martin Shaw, Project Manager with FCS Group. With me on the phone is also Andy Baker, also Project Manager with FCS. Council members, page 19 of 201 of your agenda packet. At the bottom of the page, there is a listing of the street projects that could be funded if the stormwater utility is formed. So as Tracy mentioned, because the stormwater projects are commingled with street projects within the streets fund currently, the two programs are competing for the same monies for these improvements. And as Tracy mentioned, by separating the stormwater projects from the streets program, your city will be able to fund the stormwater projects separately, and also to address and fund the street projects separately as well. And again, it's on page 19 of 201.
Nope. Mrs. Rounds.
Is there anything built into the fund that would help a business that is struggling now or going to go broke because of Inslee's proclamation that they can't serve in their businesses, the restaurants and the bars? And
Is there anything built into this
For
particular,
them, if they're
for the
going
businesses
broke.
and not just residents?
Exactly.
So the question from Mrs. Rounds, did you hear it? Is there utility assistance for businesses? We know we have it for residents, but is there a utility assistance for businesses?
Again, this is Martin Shaw with FCS Group. No, there isn't. The discount program that Tracy was referring to is for our qualifying seniors and disabled persons within your community.
Thank you, Martin.
It's not for anybody. So it's not for, so only for disabled
Seniors.
people and the elderly?
And those that can, I'm going to speak for Mr. Shaw real quick here. So, and for those individuals that can provide information to show that they're at a low income and are unable to pay.
Okay.
Mr. Fredericks, did you have something else?
So, a business that has a 4,000 square foot equivalent service unit is going to pay the equivalent of approximately $9 a month, if I'm reading page 175 correct. And the reason I say that, because if $9, I'm just going to say that if a business can't make a payment of $9, they have bigger issues than an inability to be able to pay $9 to fund this. And the other thing, I guess, that I would say to this is, Ms. Coleman, we've asked, and many times I've heard folks, when I used to get on Facebook, I would hear people saying, why doesn't the city apply for more grants? Boy, if we just had a full-time grant writer, man, we could get so much done here, and we'd really be able to do some things good in our city. So we have someone who's doing that, and it's all nice when we get the grant, but if you don't have anything to match it with, what's the point? You're just wasting your time. Quit applying for grants, because we don't have the match to go with it. That's what we're saying. And in addition, we also have costs that are rising way faster than our 1% property tax. We just approved a $70,000 increase on our insurance rates. That comes out of the general fund. We have approved, because we really had no choice, we've approved union contracts that have pay adjustments this year. Those are well beyond what we are going to be collecting in additional property tax. I think the additional property tax number was $30,000, roughly $30,000 to $40,000 in additional income that would be coming in, and most of the ratepayers in Woodland are receiving they'll be paying a smaller amount this year. So this is great. I can appreciate folks coming here saying, hey, I don't want to put this on business. I agree. I don't want to put it on the ratepayers of this community. But at the end of the day, we also can't be sending Tracy, and we all can't be wondering why we didn't get approved for a grant, because we had no match. And the biggest bang for the taxpayers' money, in my opinion, is being able to pay a small amount to get a larger grant to actually fund something in this community. And Ms. Coleman has been very successful at getting these grants. So that's really the question on the table. The question on the table is whether or not do we provide Ms. Coleman with matching funds to be able to pay for these grants, or do we not? Because that's what this, in my mind, that's what this vote means to me. Am I off base with that, Ms. Coleman? She has her hand up.
Ms. Coleman, go ahead.
I'd like to, I can hear bits and pieces of what council members are speaking to, but I just want to share that there's been a number of occasions when I have applied for grants that I haven't had the ability to, let's say, for instance, you're scored on each of your grants, and I haven't had the ability to say that we'll do over a 10% match, because I know that we're very limited on funding when I go out for a grant, let's say for just street maintenance, and that's the biggest dilemma I have in the city is there are not very many grants that you can receive for maintenance dollars. You can go out for new projects, you can go out for this and that, but when you're coming to maintenance, those grants are few and far between. We've been very fortunate in the last few years to receive a grant every single year in the last 2 years since I've been here. I've been here for 3, but I just started applying the first year. But the last 2 years I've been here, we've actually received grant dollars for road maintenance. It's pretty much going to come to a halt in a few years due to the fact that they won't continue to do the same city every single year, because it is our responsibility to be able to afford to maintain our roads. So they'll give it to us for a while, and then pretty soon when you're going for that grant and you're applying for it year after year after year, and that's the only maintenance you're doing to your roads, it'll come to an end. So I just want to say that it would be nice every once in a while to give it a break for applying for a grant 1 year and do some road maintenance on our own, and then, like skip a year and then go out for it for another 2 years in a row. And then also to not say, well, we only have a 10% match, but we can match 15 or 20%, because that makes you score higher on the grant list as well. So we want to show that we're doing our due diligence and our part when we apply for these year after year. And it's always nice to give it a break 1 year and give somebody else that opportunity, that small city too, that struggles as well. I'm not saying we need to pave the road ourselves all the way down, but I'm just saying that we really should take financial responsibility for our infrastructure and go out for grants, but just know that it's our job to maintain our infrastructure within our
Ms.
city.
Coleman?
So,
Do businesses and residents benefit from having roads to drive on that are effective, that have good maintenance on them? Is that a benefit that everyone receives? I already know the answer.
Yes,
I already know the answer.
Our benefit that anybody who enters our city, whether it's a guest, whether it's a citizen that lives in a city, whether it's a business owner, whether it's a delivery, everybody benefits from a good road to drive on. Just like they benefit from the roads not flooding because we have an adequate stormwater system, so on and so forth.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman. I just want you to know that, I'm just going to make a quick comment. It had nothing related to this. I just love the fact that the discussion is going on, so thank you. Mrs. Rounds. I'd love to see the reaction.
I agree with what Mr. Fredericks is saying, totally. It sucks for the timing. That's my only thing. And at this time, I cannot put this burden on the taxpayer, on the citizens or the businesses. But I totally agree with everything else Mr. Fredericks said.
Mr. Plaza?
Like Councilmember Rounds, stupid thing. I agree with everything that Mrs. Coleman's saying. I agree with everything that Mr. Fredericks is saying. However, at what point do we stop? I mean, we've got garbage raising their rates on us. We have property tax increases. We have state and federal tax increases on businesses. $9 a month may seem like a little bit, and it is, if that's all you're paying. But when you're paying 8 or 9 other taxes or fees or whatever the case may be on top of that, then it's going to get passed on to the citizens. It's going to get passed on to the elderly and the low-income people who can't afford it. And yeah, I would love crystal, glass smooth roads myself. And I know somebody's got to pay for them. The magic just doesn't pop out of the sky. However, with things going the way they are, I am just not okay dropping another fee or tax or whatever we want to call it today on people that may be out of jobs, losing their businesses, or losing, their homes and livelihood. So it sucks, but, and don't take this the wrong way because I'm not going to try to sound like a jerk, but I know I probably am. I'm not a revenue generator for the city. My job isn't to make sure that the coffers are filled. My job is to represent the citizens of the city, and I think at this point in time, the citizens need a break somewhere. And if that means that they have to drive over the same pothole for another year or two, then I think they'll be okay with that. So my vote's still going to stay a no.
Mrs. Holland?
So we're still discussing 1466, correct?
Correct. I had to go back and verify.
Okay.
I think we're on 1462, aren't we?
We're on action item
Or 67?
G. 1466.
Okay.
Okay. So I just wanted to point out that before we get there, 1473 was backdated to this February 2020. So when we get to that, what we would be discussing.
Oh, it says 2020 and not 2021.
Correct.
On what you're voting on. Okay.
1473 says this would be effective on February 16, 2020.
Gotcha.
So before we get there,
Okay.
it should probably be correct.
So my copy, but I just got a new copy tonight, just before we came here, says 2021.
Oh, see, I'm looking at the packet attached to our
Yeah.
agenda,
Okay.
so apparently it's been updated, sorry.
No, been there, done that.
Is that all your comments, Mrs.
Well,
Holland?
I mean, I totally agree, but I also know that this isn't forever. I mean, I have to stay positive that
Taxes are always forever.
COVID isn't forever. COVID isn't forever, but Tracy has roads and people. What I always find funny is that people like roads, but they don't want to pay for roads. They like water, they don't want to pay for water. They like to flush their toilet, but they don't want to pay for flushing the toilet. I mean, because I'm a proponent of complaining every time I get my bill. So I too do not enjoy the bill. But on the back end, everybody has to have infrastructure. And it's not anybody in this room, I can't say this current council, it's nobody here's fault that it has gotten to the point that the Public Works Department has no funding to perform their tasks of producing, having infrastructure for the town. So here we get to do this and people will be pissed and, people will be upset, but it is what it is.
My
So-
sentiments, if you got a question.
It's okay, we're all adults.
Yes.
Are we? I have a mask on.
Theoretically,
So.
there's a snitch line if you want to make a complaint.
I mean, I really did just get my thing in my email yesterday telling me how much my debit card was charged for utilities. $309 for residents. So there you go. That's my house. I don't know about anybody else. So that's all.
Mr. Fredericks?
Mr. Boyce or Ms. Ripp, can you tell us how much money we're taking out of the general reserve fund and moving to the general fund to keep the lights on for the year? So we're taking it out of the savings account to put it into the checking account. What is that number for this year?
Give me a moment, let me pull that up for you.
Thought it was going to be quick.
Okay, so the general reserve fund is providing, wait, I'm sorry, wrong number.
While Pete's looking that up, could I make an announcement?
Mrs. Rounds?
Rotary will be doing the bell ringing at Safeway again this year. It's outside. Are you going to be doing your same time?
Oh, side conversation right here? Absolutely, because I bring in the most money.
Okay, all right.
See you on Christmas Eve.
People feel sorry for you.
So there's your head big on
You
her?
could have Miss Woodland.
She's with me every year as well.
There you go.
Well, this year she'll be wearing a crown, so yeah. She doesn't know that yet, but yes. Sign us up.
That's okay, Mr. Boyce. It's if I'm going to bet, it's probably over $200,000, and so that's what gets me this. And I appreciate the comments made by Councilmember Plazas that we're not here to generate revenue for the city, but what we are here to do is to review the materials that are put in front of us as this form of government that we have, where we're put in, basically, we're doing the citizens' business. They don't go through a 200-page council packet. They give us the information, we study it, we ask questions, we learn, we formulate the best response, and we do what we think is in the citizens' best interest of this community. That is what our charge is. And I have come to the conclusion, after going through this and studying it, that this would serve the citizens of this community for years to come, and I think it makes sense. I can appreciate where we're at with COVID. It is difficult times right now, and I can sense the frustration that people have with maybe the failure for Congress to act on a second stimulus package, but I have to take that into consideration along with everything that we've done here, and I think that this serves the citizens of Woodland best. But I do agree with the sentiment and the comments made by both Councilmember Rounds and Councilmember Plaza.
Ms. Ripp?
I'm looking at the October expenditure report, and it looks like what we have budgeted is about $55,000 from the reserves to pay for our debt for the police and the fire station. And the total is about $297,000, and of that, 55 of it is to the long-term obligation debt.
Right. So,
almost 300,000 is coming out of reserves to the general street and park funds.
So I can hardly wait. I'm looking forward to when the council has the budget, because it's okay to say no, but we got to be prepared at the same time to be able to say, all right, then what are we going to cut? If we're not going to vote to approve a garbage increase, then we can cut $55,000 or whatever the dollar amount was. I can't remember, $28,000 to $30,000 out of the general fund budget to pay for it. And I was prepared to make that motion had it failed, but it passed. And I know we're not talking about that, but this item is another item. What do you want to cut? Since 2009, I have looked for things to cut, and I've come up with some. I've been successful at cutting a few things. But I'm out of things to cut, because now we're talking about services that are going to be cut. And if you want to cut services, that's okay, we can do that, but let's have that discussion.
Anything further? All right, seeing nothing else. Action item G, ordinance number 1466, stormwater utility, first reading effective February 16, 2021 for April 2021 billing. Mrs. Holland.
Aye.
Sorry, something just happened. Okay. Sorry. Mr. Fredericks.
Aye.
Mr. Chapman.
Aye.
Mrs. Rounds.
No.
Mrs. Graham. Mr. Plaza.
No.
All right, the ayes have it, 4-2. Moving on to action item H, ordinance number 1473, amend public utility tax on water to 10.87% and establish a 12.5% public utility tax for the proposed stormwater utility. First reading effective February 16th, 2021 for April 2021 billing.
The reason I struggle with this is because this never came to the Finance Committee.
Mr. Fredericks?
I don't want to make a motion yet because I would like someone to explain this to me. This did not go through, I don't believe this went through the Finance Committee. Did it?
I believe it was part of the FCS presentation, but, and Ms. Coleman is shaking her head, yes, that is correct. It was part of the presentation.
So if I understand this correct, overall, this is a net zero for the city. Is that right? We're just truing this up?
Are we truing this up? Is this a net zero for the city?
I'm Martin Shaw with FCS Group. It's a net zero for the water utility, correct?
Got it.
But we are establishing a public utility tax on the stormwater if City Council chooses to create the stormwater utility. So there's a reduction, and Mr. Cha is correct on the water, and we also would be establishing a 12.5% public utility tax on a future stormwater should City Council adopt that.
Which in essence is what we just did, correct? Say yes, Pete. Say
Yes.
yes. I move to adopt ordinance number 1473, amending ordinance number 1425 on gross revenues from water, sewer, solid waste recycling, and stormwater services, amending the rates.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Fredericks, seconded by Councilmember Chapman. Councilmember Fredericks.
So this is a net, we're taking away, we're making it a reduction in one, we're increasing the other. The net gain should be zero, if I understand Mr. Cha correctly.
Mr. Chapman.
No comment.
Further discussion, Mr. Plaza.
Question real quick. So this net zero on 147, I don't have my glasses on. 1473, that only goes into effect if 1466 actually ends up going through, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, stand by. So let me just verify. So the question for Mr. Plaza is if ordinance number 1466 comes back for a second reading and fails, therefore it does not go into effect, but ordinance number 1473 passes. Wait, what was the question? I'm getting into.
1473 only actually kicks in.
Okay. So 1473, the one that's on the table right now, only takes effect if ordinance number 1466 occurs. Is that correct?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
So that would be true regarding the stormwater fee. If City Council goes forward with the water rate increase, there would be the reduction on the public utility tax for water rates. Is that answering the question?
Yes, and that's what I thought. I just wanted to verify that, yes. So did you, Mr. Plaza?
Yeah.
Okay, you understand?
I just wanted to clarify that, yeah.
Got it. Anything further? Seeing nothing, we'll go ahead and take the roll on ordinance number 1473, amend public utility tax on water to 10.87% and establish a 12.5% public utility tax for the proposed storm water utility first reading. Mrs. Rounds?
No.
Mr. Chapman?
Aye.
Mrs. Graham? Mrs. Holland?
Aye.
Mr. Fredericks?
Aye.
Mr. Plaza?
No.
So much more fun when I agree with you.
The ayes have it, 4-2. At this time, it is 8:08. We would like to let's take a 5-minute break before coming back into session for the workshop. And we are still recording during break.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
Would I have got to vote on that one? No, it's money. I don't get to vote.
Money.
I know. I never get to vote on anything.
Only if it's a tie.
Oh. Money next week. Because it's money, I can't vote, right? And that's
Well, it ends in a 3-3 tie, and because this isn't one of the ties you can break, under our rules, it comes back next week, or at the
Gotcha.
next council meeting.
Are you guys still doing dinners for Rotary? Turkey dinners?
At Christmas, you mean?
No, for Thanksgiving. Are you guys doing?
We never have.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
We
So
do
I've got a turkey.
We do Christmas, and we take turkeys for that.
For that, okay. Well, I'll hold it a little bit longer then, because Heather's like, get rid of that turkey out of my freezer. I'm like, I don't know what to do with it. I think Rotary, I thought you guys did Thanksgiving.
Take it to Joy at the bank.
Joy at the bank? Do you guys still have a freezer right now, or do you want me to wait? Is that something I should wait on?
You might want to wait a bit, and I'll check with her.
Okay.
We don't need to listen to her.
I haven't heard anybody talk about it.
Well, sometimes I gotta do something to keep.
I kind of, Shoot, hold on a second, I'm sorry.
It says, I think, that staff is going to ask for.
Oh, is that right?
District presidents ask for.
Hold on. Okay. Yes, this is well. Oh, okay. I'm walking away.
I think this is the things we were asking. So that's what that was.
Some of the facilities, that's one employee.
I know. I found this interesting.
Yeah. As sad as it is,
I used to get one of those things.
Everything's DEFCON 4.
Yes, I used to get, I literally feel my heart palpitating out of my chest, and then I just couldn't get it.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Nobody was willing to.
Oh, you do. Yeah. Money, yeah. Oh, yeah. But would he have really, if he was young, it's hard to say. Yeah. Well, and that's what it is. It's nothing. You need to break and go back. Yeah, sometimes you feel sad and get tears and the whole thing, but when somebody can come and tell you the story and share what maybe you did something and you didn't know that happened between your loss and your kids, you standing there, you know, whatever it is, and you know, it's just, you don't realize how many someone really touches their life. So really, what it meant to him, it might not, you might not think that he was going to I still get no story once in a while. That he would never even talk about it. It's a third of the puzzle. Yeah. Hopefully we can't figure out how to put it all together. Right there, with our, there, so now I don't know. Because we have planned to have two of them, some have it in hand. Well, it comes time, you know, everyone's brothers can ever come down over the weekend, spend time with their you know, we always do this day, and I told them, I said, it would not be right not to make our family New Year's Day. I can sit for a week and get them all baked, put it in the freezer and whatnot. If anybody wants to come, they can come. Or if they want to wait until a later time, they'll be in the freezers. You know, you have to have some, some normalcy in your life that you're used to having. Oh, it's so difficult. Yeah, and Gail said in Colorado, we're like, that's why. I don't want to get started either. There are people working in their office and they've been raising back and most of it, you know, some of them will actually have COVID. And then it affects the families because they aren't together, their kids either in, children's sports activities or family gatherings.
grandkids and their daughters have all had it, and they're all fine.
Yeah. I'm sorry, the term believer is that your time on this earth is days or the take video, take 100 days, that's right. What's up the way I feel Yeah, I agree.
I know. I've thrown it out there myself.
So anyway, still, all right, but Mayor, you did hear me say that she has postponed the services. It's not Sunday.
I figured that's what was going on, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
The time is now 8:16, and we are back in session.
Would the chair accept the motion?
Chair will accept a motion.
I move to adjourn.
Oh, second. Okay, motion on the floor to adjourn this evening by Council. What's that?
Discussion?
By Councilmember Fredericks, seconded by Councilmember Rounds. Councilmember Fredericks.
So we have, we've got information that was provided to us. We have meetings scheduled for next Monday.
Yes.
And the following Monday, and there's no council business on either one of those days. Is that correct?
Correct. Should be, shouldn't be.
No.
Correct. Our next regular meeting is December 7th.
Yeah, so 11:23 and 11:30 can be dedicated fully to budget.
Yes.
And then by hopefully the second meeting.
Mayor Finn,
Yes, Mrs. Ripp?
Go ahead.
can you remind the council when you did take action on the property tax ordinance?
This evening or on the 7th?
Not on the agenda.
Well, I was thinking the 24th.
Oh, during the workshop?
Has to be the county by the 30th.
Gotcha. Okay, so yes, I will. So, the property tax, the 1% was, failed to make the agenda this evening. So, at our next workshop meeting, which would be the 24th, we're asking council to take action at that meeting as well on that one item. Sorry, Mr. Frederick, sorry, I just wanted to...
Oh, well, just the discussion is I think we have plenty of time to be able to move forward with what we need to, in my opinion. I don't know.
Mrs. Rounds?
No comment.
Further discussion?
She's all ready. She's ready to roll.
Mrs. Graham just backing up.
I love it.
So we're skipping the workshop.
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing. That's the motion on the floor this evening, to dedicate the 24th and the 28th or 27th to workshop.
So this agenda, by the way, was not, there was a lot to it and required a lot of, time spent, but also rate adjustments never are easy. And so I want to make sure that I'm able to, I got up extremely early this morning, and I am rummy right now.
Okay. Hey, it's your meeting. If you think you can get through it the next 2 meetings, I'm okay with that. It's up to you.
We can do it.
All right.
Yeah, I think we can.
It might be stay until 10.
You stayed at a Super 8 last night?
Miss Coleman.
Miss Coleman is smiling.
She's at home.
Right. And she'll be clocking out as soon as she clicks out.
No, I just wanted to say that I just want to let everybody understand that really next Monday, that's Thanksgiving week, and there are people that are taking that week off, that entire week off. So I don't know if any of the administrative staff has that week off, but it's something that we want to consider if you want people all to attend the meeting, that people aren't going out of town. So it's something to consider if we can get through a little bit of it tonight. I just wanted to state that. And then also we're going into December, and I know that I won't be available during the week of December 7th, I will be out of town, so I just want to make sure that we have availability to answer questions if you have them, and I just wanted to share that with council, that next week is Thanksgiving week, and then the following week I will not be available. So I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of that.
So there's 2 more meetings this month, is that correct?
Yes, for
So you're not going to be
workshop.
gone, you're going to be gone for the next 3 meetings? Is that what she said?
I'll be gone for 2, but I think that, I don't know if any other administrative staff will be gone as well. I believe Mary is gone for one of those. I believe Mary might be gone. Pete, you might weigh in on that.
I'll be here, but
I was going to ask that.
whatever staff is present, we'll make sure we have answers for council. We can support you through that schedule.
I was told by a higher authority that I could not travel, so I will be in town.
I'm going to the woods.
Okay, good answer. We have 6 weeks to
It's
approve.
a true answer. I'm actually going to the woods.
We have 6 weeks to get this done. I think we can. I feel confident.
Okay.
We're not $500,000 out of whack like we have been in previous administrations, so I think
Thank
we're...
you for clarifying that and not saying previous years.
So we're
because
good.
It's never been that since I've been sitting in this chair.
No, we don't know who it was.
All right, then, any further discussion on the motion on the floor to adjourn by Councilmember Frederickson, seconded by Councilmember Rounds? Mrs. Graham, you need any help? Okay.
She's all bad.
You know, she's ready. She's
She's
halfway
already
out
got her
the
car
door.
warming up.
I know, she's ready to run. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have it. The time is 8:21. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
All that I had to pay for a no.
Oh.